Hi, I'm Angela and welcome to my channel Befriend in 10. Today I'm going to talk about my plan to lose 3 to 5 pounds in the next month without dieting. As someone who spent 5 years beating an eating disorder in high school and college, I pretty much opted out of diet culture. And for the most part, my weight has been in the normal range for most of my life. But I noticed once I hit 50 that a 5-pound fluctuation really made a difference in how much my joints hurt and how much my feet hurt and in my reflux. So every now and then I have to be a lot more mindful about what I'm eating in order to keep those things at bay. And these are my 7 strategies for doing that. The first thing I do is keep track of every single thing that I eat. What you observe changes. This principle is known as the Hawthorne effect, and if you're interested, you can check out the description below for a more detailed explanation. Knowing that I'm going to have to write down everything that I eat does actually change my behavior, even if I am just being observed by future me. And I think this is because I know that when I eat a little bit of this or a little bit of that, it tends to add up. I mean, this is proven every time we walk into a Target store and buy a few little items and then we get stuck with a surprisingly large bill in the checkout line. I don't restrict what I can eat, but I do find that knowing I'm going to have to write everything down, I tend to be more careful about recording portion sizes. Like instead of just pouring a bunch of half and half into my coffee, I will measure it to make sure that it's just a tablespoon or two. Now I do record everything I eat in an app. And I am using the app Calorie, which, as the name implies, does keep track of the calories that you're eating. However, I'm trying not to pay too much attention to the calories, so I give myself a daily allowance of 3,000 so I don't have to have the experience of the balls spilling out of the circle. Now, the reason I do record in an app is because even though I'm not tracking calories, I am tracking fiber. And that brings me to the second thing that I do. I pay attention to fiber in part because it does help fill me up. I find that foods with a lot of fiber are very satisfying, and also it does help with digestion, which makes me feel less bloated and just sort of keeps me in this more mindful, healthy mindset. And as a side note, the average American eats half of the recommended daily fiber allowance, and it is really, really difficult to get all the fiber. At least I find it's difficult to get all the recommended fiber in my diet. So sometimes I have to throw a tablespoon of fiber additive, I think it's Metamucil, into my coffee. Plus, by focusing on fiber, I'm naturally eating more fruits and vegetables and legumes. The third thing I do is drink a lot of water to make sure that I'm hydrated and also to make sure that I don't have any problems with this extra fiber that I'm consuming. We all know how good water is for our body. It keeps us hydrated, it helps flush out the toxins, and it helps assist with all of the chemical reactions in our body, and it's just great for our health. The fourth thing that I do is whenever I am getting ready to eat something, I'll pause for a moment and ask myself, is this the best choice I can make right now? But this question is really useful when I am going to have a snack or when I'm feeling a little emotional dip, and sometimes I just like to have, a Hershey Kiss or a little scoop of ice cream or something to just, encourage me. And yeah, I know that means that I'm a little bit of an emotional eater, but that's really hard to disconnect that. So for me, just asking if this is the best choice I can make in the moment, I usually find that I'm able to do something a little different. Like maybe instead of having the serving size of Hershey Kisses, I'll just stick to 1 or 2. Or I'll have 1 spoonful of ice cream along with a sliced apple. That question gives me a lot of freedom to contemplate options, and I usually find that with an encouraging mindset, I'm able to do something a little more healthful. The fifth thing I try to do is eat more mindfully. I'm sure I'm not the only one who has sat down in front of the TV with a bag of chips and then 30 minutes later been really surprised by how many I ate. And not only that, I have no real memory of eating the chips or even what they really taste like. So this month I want to avoid that at all costs. Being present while eating can be challenging because I'm very much a multitasker. When I'm eating alone, I tend to eat my meals at the computer while I'm working, or I might have my phone out and watch YouTube videos while I'm eating. And that's something that I'm trying to rein in for the next month. So I'm going to try to eat most of my meals at the kitchen table and leave my phone at the desk. I will, however, allow myself to read. And before I eat, I take a quick moment to feel grateful for my meal and to appreciate all of the people and institutions and systems that played a role into bringing the food to my plate. I recently did a quick chat video about this tip, so if you're interested, you can check it out in the description below. So the next thing I do is I really slow down while I'm eating. My family, we are all speed eaters, but that is the antithesis of mindful eating. So instead, I'll really try to slow down. I'll take smaller bites. I will chew more carefully. I will notice and appreciate the textures and the flavor, and I'll set down my fork between mouthfuls. And I just try to be more present and more aware of every mouthful that I'm eating. The sixth tip, which is kind of related, has to do with making my meals visually pleasing. For example, I'll think about the colors of the food on my plate. I'll use my favorite dishes, and I'll sometimes go gather some flowers from the yard to put on my table. And tip number 7 is to move more. I try to go on a long walk with my dog every single morning, and I also am trying to incorporate some YouTube exercise videos into my day. Usually in the evening, before I go to bed, if it's yoga, or sometimes right before dinner, I will do one of those high energy workouts, interval HIIT workouts, and there's some dance videos that I really think are a lot of fun. And finally, the last thing I do, and maybe it should be another tip number 8, I don't know. But anyway, the final thing that I do is to go through my month with encouragement. I am encouraging myself. There are no recriminations, even if I skip a day of exercise or I have a day where I don't eat enough fiber and I am not able to make very good choices. I just sort of allow myself that mistake, give myself grace, and then get back on the bandwagon the next day. So those are my tips for dropping 3 to 5 pounds in a month without dieting. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up below. I'll see you in the next video.